Board games and LARP design, it's what I'm talking about. Making a LARP, and I'm not gonna shout. I am starting off this streaming with a little bit of singing, and I'm going to have a bit of a lark. I'm going to try making a LARP. I've not done it solo before, but I want to try my part at having a go at a new game medium. I'll take it to heart. It's called Dungeons and Therapy. The idea came from me about subverting Dungeons and Dragons and their established reality. Dungeons and Therapy, making a LARP, it's what I'm talking about. Today I'm going to be making a LARP and I'm not going to shout. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good whatever it is, wherever you are. I am Bez and it is 10 a.m. UK time for another Bezzy Beats and Board Game Blether. And today, what am I doing? I am definitely making a LARP. So this is something that I meant to do over the past week, for reasons I've not managed to do as much as I'd like, but hopefully I'll finish it all today. I'm not saying that I'll finish it on the stream, but I'm going to talk about what I'm doing, and I'm going to, talk about this LARP. So that'll be me for now. Firstly, let's get to recent highlights, living life and seeing the sights. Recent highlights, playing games and other delights. Recent highlights. So, my recent highlight, I'm going to actually share this screen because this is definitely the biggest highlight for me, is that's me on the front page of Board Game Geek, and that's fantastic. And there was a lovely shout out, thank you to Chris, who basically I wasn't feeling up to writing text. I suggested maybe we could have a spoken interview. I wasn't sure who this person was. It was a person I'd never heard of getting in touch with me over Twitter, and I said, well, I like talking to people, but I said, okay, I don't have the time, I don't have the energy to do this writing. Let's talk. We talked. Chris made lots of notes. Chris sent those notes over to Eric Martin. Chris has done all the legwork of getting in touch with these people. And so there's going to be a lot of amazing women, and I'm really honored to be amongst them. And so you can see there's my L deck on the left, Yogi and Yogi Guru. Beside that, those are my biggest sellers. There's a photo of me that I took month ago, I think, a couple of months ago, and a game about quickly grabbing creatures that are totally different and watching out for turnips. The original name for a game about quickly grabbing creatures that are totally different and counting your turnips. And then down below, a game about wee whimsical creatures and trying to identify them after someone makes noises. And so that was an absolute delight. And hello to me. It is lovely to see you. And if you are here, I mean, obviously the reach of Board Game Geek is massive, and I had a few orders for games because people were wanting to make noises and impersonate wee whimsical creatures, and I had a few people saying congratulations, and obviously this has really boosted my ego. This is making me feel, I am the most amazing person ever. I am going to do all the things. I can do all the things. And so, I need to probably retweet some of this for like 2 weeks' time for when I'm feeling a little bit low. But that was definitely the highlight of my day. Other than that, just footering around a bit and working with Chris. Oh, I will actually say, if I stop that screen for just a moment and then I find a link, Chris has been working on a second edition of a game about drawing creatures, complementing the drawings, then complementing the complements. And I am going to just now show you some of these pictures. So what's going on here? There we go. So this is going to be the card. So back in the day, if I can show you the first edition was really boring and it had text like that. I mean, I wrote out the text so it would be a little bit nicer, and on the back, it's just a plain background. But I thought, like, let's get something exciting. Let's get something a bit more interesting. And so Chris is making a bunch of textures for the back. And this is probably my favorite. Like, let me know what you think. This one, it's really soft. It's kind of happy. It brings the text to the foreground. I love the colors in this one. I love the energy. I love the stripes going on. And yeah, Chris has done this with digital photography and manipulation. A lot of it's long exposure and moving the camera around. That's basically what you're seeing. And so this is the kind of thing that we might have on the front. And so, yeah, let me know what you think. Hello, Yoda. It is lovely to see you. I'm just showing off some pictures from the fronts of the cards of a second edition of a game about drawing creatures, complementing the drawings, then complementing the complements. And so I'm hoping that the text is readable. I'm not sure if red is the right color for the text. I'm starting to think maybe white might have also been good, but I mean, it's me, so a little bit of red is quite nice. It reminds people of me. I do want to make sure that people can actually read it. But how are you today? What have been some of your recent highlights? Let me know. And what are you enjoying in life? And yeah, do you like these little screenshots that I'm showing off? The other highlights, not. Oh yeah, I managed to finish the debrief survey after Aircon. I sent that out, and people have been filling that in to say, oh yeah, that's how we felt about it. We felt good. That's lovely to hear. I'm going to try and put together a survey today for UK Games Expo to try and get volunteers for that. I'm super excited to be at UK Games Expo, and I need at least 10 volunteers. So we will see how I get on with that. Chris is definitely going to be there. Johan Bryce, who's been helping me for many years. Tom Cauldron will be there with Polly, but probably having their own place. Josie said he'd be up for play. So I'm super excited, and it's only 8 weeks away. UK Games Expo, super excited about that. And Dutch Yoda finally played Under Falling Skies. Cool. How did you enjoy it? That's the solo one where it's kind of like Space Invaders, things coming down, and then you've got to work out how to shoot the things before they get to you, right? I hope you had a lot of fun. And let's get to brilliant things. Brilliant things. What's a little thing which is brilliant? If you've got any questionably quick questions, just chuck them in. That's totally cool. But I want to talk about LARP. I would like to talk about why I want to make a LARP. Why do I mean, I started off doing video games, Flash and Yarose and OpenGL, and then I went to do, let me actually turn this light on. And then I went to do board games, and a couple of years ago, I was invited to be the co-designer of a LARP. It was a LARP about gender representation, legal gender representation. I worked on it with Sarah Jury. I think that both of us definitely contributed to the work. Sarah definitely did a lot more of the negotiation. I think that we did an equal amount of the creative parts. I feel like I pulled my weight. Hopefully, fingers crossed, Sarah would feel okay with that. But why is LARP brilliant? I think that, so what is LARP? LARP is live action role playing. And you've got buffer LARP, where you hit other people with foam weapons and you run around fields. You've got chamber LARP, where it's kind of a bit more small. Maybe you're in a single room. And then Nordic LARP is a form of chamber LARP, which is more about the emotions of the people. And that's something that I've done a lot of, where the LARPs, by play acting, by inhabiting people who are unlike myself, by inhabiting people who are constantly angry, I get to experience that. I get to try being a little bit different. By role playing someone who's suffered bereavement, maybe I come to terms with how I'm going to act when it comes to pass in real life. By role playing someone who has been betrayed by the government and forced to turn against their friends, then maybe I gain more empathy. But then there is also some comedy. I've played a LARP that's called Diamond Geezers, which is all about a big heist, and then you're working out, oh, who stole the diamonds and who's the one who and it's a bunch of criminals, all of whom are betraying each other, and that kind of thing. It just feels like it is improv, and yes, it's basically improv acting, but it's for the benefit of yourselves. It's for the benefit of everyone in the room. Sure, you might be acting, you might be inhabiting the character, but parts of it might be for the person you're talking to, but a lot of it is just for yourself. And by role-playing this character, you actually start empathizing, you start feeling differently. If you start walking differently, if you start talking differently, then of course you're going to start feeling different. And the way that you're treated in this, I think that LARP, it builds it empathy. It allows for a more emergent story than you would get when you have to worry about who won or who didn't win. And yeah, that's why I think LARP is brilliant. If you've got any other shout outs about LARP, let me know. Yoda says, I like Thunder Falling Skies. Simple rules, but tough decisions. That's always a good thing, good combination to have. So, yep, I'm glad that people are finding games that they enjoy. Feel free to comment, ask questions, fun, like, follow. If you've got any questions, then just chuck them in. Otherwise, let me crack on. So let me talk about this LARP that I'm making. What am I making? I am making a thing called Dungeons and Therapy. So I want to note that if you think there's not much money in board games, there's even less money in LARP. So at the end, once it's made, once it's actually this is with the intention of playing it at a specific event, the Smoke. Most LARPs that make money are either going to be based for an arts council, like the one that I co-created with Sarah Jury. It was a paid gig from King's College London, who were doing an exhibition, but then when it came time to the final game, it was meant to be played in April or May 2020. So because of the pandemic, it just never happened. I think that unless you are getting some funding from some sense, most LARPs are even less likely to be sold. And so with board games, you might make a tiny profit. There might be like some physical thing that you give to other people. With LARPs, it tends to be more like, oh, here's a bunch of pages, and yeah, maybe there's like a few people who buy it if you're lucky, but maybe you also just go round to the Smoke and other festivals, and then you get other people to play it, and maybe there's something that you make that and things don't get play tested as much. That's a big difference between LARP and board games. Board games, you play them and then you play test them and then you see how they are and then you tweak them. A LARP, they might be tested literally once, if at all, before the main event. And so the one that we were paid for, obviously, that I think that was going to be tested like 3 times before the main event. But I know across the universe, such a big event with like 50 people, how can you play test something like that? I mean, at the point where you're organizing a play test of 50 people to get together, that's kind of like a main event, surely. And then similarly, why I'm making this, This is for the smoke. This is for an event based in London in a few months' time. Originally, it was meant to be for the smoke 2021, I want to say, but then 2021 didn't happen and it was pushed forward. My inspiration for this is, hey, there's D&D, there's role-playing, there's fantasy where we're going and we're killing all these monsters. But who's to say that all these monsters are really evil? It's not like the monsters typically attack us first. I mean, it's not like we're always killing in self-defense. So often we just go out and we kill all these monsters. What's all that about? Hello, Black Sheep. I hope you're generally well. Just talking about Dungeons and Therapy and how that came to be. A LARP that I'm working on, which is going to be my first time working on a solo LARP. I hope that you're well. Have you got any experience with LARPs? And so, yeah, the whole fantasy shtick of adventurers good, monsters evil, let's go and slaughter all these things, that feels kind of problematic, do you know what I mean? And I wanted to explore that trope. I thought, what if this game is kind of, yeah, multiple people in a therapy session after the dungeon crawl saying, wait a minute, you murdered my mother. I'm a Minotaur baby. You murdered my mother. Why are you doing this? And this is kind of going to be a silly comedy / a dark comedy. I mean, obviously it deals with bereavement, it deals with depression, it deals with anxiety. And hello, Jess. It is lovely to see you, and I hope you are well. Yes, indeed, Easter is coming. And so, yeah, it's still a very vague thing. So this, if I'm talking about little goblins, it might, you ransacked our homes. This was our house, and like the dragon who is an insomniac and needs the gold in order to sleep. But the mayor's lied about how the dragon got the gold. Like, the mayor's actually the evil party in all of this. The mayor just wanted the gold for himself. And so then you're thinking, hey, wait a minute, maybe the rogue, I mean, we all make light of the rogue nicking stuff, but have you noticed? The rogue just takes pen lids and little feathers and random trinkets that the rogue doesn't even need. I mean, clearly the rogue's got a problem with kleptomania. This is a serious problem. It's not like the rogue is stealing for their own benefit. The things that they're stealing are ridiculous. What's going on here? And so let's get everyone in a room. Let's have some reconciliation. Let's bring up these topics. And so that's where my idea started. And I'm kind of surprised that it hasn't really been done a lot. I mean, there have for sure been comics and games that are exploring, subverting the typical tropes of monsters bad, adventurers good, but it doesn't feel like there's quite as much as I would have expected. Let me script. There we go. So I wrote a bit of a script, and I am going to maybe put it onto a Google Sheet somewhere, and that way I can show you what I'm working on. Google Sheets. Actually, let me make a new thing. New Google Docs. Okay, so sounds like a stage show, says Black Sheep. And there's definitely a question of what is a stage show, what is a LARP. And yeah, it is something that's meant to be. I think that the narratives that are going are obviously a stage show should be more tightly scripted, but you want the key bits of the plot to be very similar. Anyway, so can I get rid of, there we go, get rid of that. And let me make this one a wee bit bigger so you can have a look. And this is what I've written so far: Mayor, Dragon, the Beholder, and the Rogue. And I'm hoping to get 10 characters by the end of today. So I'm thinking there's going to be like the Mayor, the Therapist. So let me actually. So the main characters, the Mayor will always be there, who is the kind of evil one who persuaded all the adventurers to go and attack the poor innocent dragon. The Therapist is basically like the games master. That will be my role. So I'll be kind of running the game as the Therapist. Obviously, there's going to be the dragon, who's the one who was attacked. There'll be maybe 3 different adventurers. Let's call them Adventurer 1 to 3. And yep, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then there's Minor Monster. Let's say we'll have another Minor Monster 2, and that feels good. And then we've got the Beholder and the Big Black Dog. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And possibly a Minor Monster 3. Let's put a question mark before that. So if I put a question mark before a word, that's basically meant to be like, I don't know what's going on. Maybe it happens. Maybe it doesn't. That. So the Therapist, that's me. So we've got the Mayor, and I've already written that down, so I'll read it out loud. You lied about the dragon, asking the adventurers to reclaim the gold that was never yours. You have no interest in reconciliation. You're annoyed at being caught and hope to be able to avoid punishment. Whenever you're near the Beholder, you feel like you're being watched and judged by everyone. The dragon inspires greed within you. You were more than willing to sacrifice a few lives for your own personal wealth. The Big Black Dog inspires some tiny sense of remorse. So, obviously, the dragon, typical, well, it's the eponymous Dungeons and Dragons, like, it's right there in the title, creature. And so that's going to be the big thing. That should always be there. The Beholder or the Beholder, so kind of, hopefully people understand the Beholder is the beholder, but you're a hive, and then that inspires anxiety because it's got lots of eyes. Someone actually suggested a Big Black Dog. That's, someone that's kind of inspiring depression in everyone, but these creatures aren't aware that they're inspiring such things. The adventurers, I'm not sure what classes they should be, but I feel like maybe I keep talking about the Minotaur children, so I think that should be there, and the orc, who's, and one of the adventurers should also be a half-orc, and then we get into kind of questions of race. I think that would be interesting. So let's carry on. Dragon, you suffer from insomnia, but a bed of gold pieces helps you maintain some slumber. After centuries of hard work, you manage to accrue your gold through honest means. Normally, dragons sleep for 10 years, but you were awoken by some adventurers intending to kill you. You managed to overpower them and then demanded to know why they were attacking you. You have paid for this therapy session, hoping to be able to live in peace. You are compassionate and understanding. You want reconciliation and a simple apology. Assurance of future safety would be enough for you. When near the Beholder, you worry that you're being judged for your use of gold to help you sleep. You worry that everyone is out to get you and your gold. When near the Big Black Dog, you are reminded of the tremendous gulf between humans and dragons. Beholder, you were wandering around the dungeon tending to your beehives. Suddenly you were attacked by the so-called adventurers, who started swiping at your bees and killing the defenseless insects. You escaped by running away. You're scared and anxious. The dragon allowed you to set up your hives and you just want to live in peace. You don't like crowds. When near the dragon, you feel more confidence. You have aspirations to be the best keeper in the world, to set up a pop-up shop where you can sell a little honey to pay for an occasional tasty treat. When near the big black dog, you feel like everyone hates you and everything that you do is stupid and totally pointless. Ah, poor beholder. Rogue. So you can see the kinds of format that I'm going for. So my simple format is, this is what's happened to you, this is the kind of backstory, this is who you are, and this is a couple of interactions with the other characters. And I've got, obviously, the big black dog makes everyone feel a bit down, the dragon makes everyone generally a bit more greedy, and the beholder makes everyone a bit kind of anxious and on edge. Rogue, you agreed to join the other adventurers in killing the dragon. Honestly, you didn't care about the reward. You loved the other adventures, but you worry that they will someday find out that you have been stealing from them. Anytime you see a little button, or a copper coin, or an onion, you wonder if you'd be able to take it without anyone noticing. You cannot resist stealing. Yeah. And although you've noticed a few glances, you haven't heard anything actually mentioned. Yeah, so that is the life of the rogue. And so this is going to be an unusual show. This is going to be maybe a few more minutes of me just talking through what I'm planning to do, maybe doing a little bit of typing. So the big black dog, I mean, what's the backstory of the big black dog? Okay, let's go to Wikipedia, my favorite place for research when it doesn't really matter. And let's actually make that big black dog. Big black dog. There we go. Oh wow, it's a phenomenon in which black dogs are posted over for adoption because people prefer lighter color animals. Wow, I did not know that. That is super sad. Okay, so this is all inspiration. It doesn't matter what the reality is. This is not a game scientifically accurate. I'm just reading the Wikipedia page to get some sense of what could be the backstory. Why is this big black dog in the dungeon? Maybe it's unloved. Maybe it's really looking for friends. Maybe, yeah, that feels like maybe the big black dog just wants friends. Yeah, and big black dog wants friends, and yeah, apparently it's geographic location, stigma against breed types. Black dogs are often portrayed as aggressive in film and television. That's really interesting. And the computer reminds me to have a little jiggle and wriggle. That makes absolute sense. When visitors go through the adoptions area, they spend equal amounts of time looking at every dog. Huh. But maybe they look at them, but they clearly don't want to see them. That's really sad. Some owners associate black with evil or misfortune. Yeah, I was not aware of this. I was expecting to find a Wikipedia page about depression when I looked up big black dog. There you go. So, oh, we've got an idea. I like that. I'm going to totally use that. And let me give you a little. I'll make an extra page here. Credits. Credits Thanks. Do-do-do. 6L Black Sheep for sparking the warrior. Okay, so like the warrior is having problems with ego. Like, so we could have the half orc being a warrior, or we could have the half orc. And yeah, I've got this page from Dungeons and Dragons in another window if we look at this. So we've got the barbarian, we've got the bard. Oh, someone suggested a bard. Maybe the bard is also really lonely because the bard is hiding behind their music. They're trying to reach out to people. Maybe the bard has a lute that can talk to animals, but the bard themselves cannot talk to people easily. That would be quite sad. And I guess if we were to go with these typical classes, I guess we'd go with fighter, and the fighter there's kind of problems with toxic masculinity there. But yeah, let's say that the half-orc bard, fighter, and let's start writing that, because warrior, you are always people always rely on you. You are always the linchpin of the group, and you're tired of it. You are always giving your energy and doing the emotional labor, but no one ever appreciates anything except for your fighting. You never feel able to express your own emotions. This is a really sad warrior. Let's call them a fighter, yeah. Yeah. This is a good spark. Let me scroll that a wee bit up. So how did the fighter join the group? You have always been part of the group. What kind of keyboard do you have, asks Timmy. It's just the standard keyboard for my laptop. Is it super loud? I mean, I totally understand if it's, yeah, that is just the reality. I mean, in theory, if I had a microphone here, like if the microphone was like here right to my mouth, and then the keyboard was like closer to like over there, then it would have been better. Oh, it has proper buttons, they go down, but it's just the inbuilt keyboard of the MacBook. So yeah. But yeah, you have always been part of the group. You are considered the leader, even though you didn't ask for this position. You trusted the mayor and asked your group to fight the dragon and retrieve the ill-gotten gains. That should have a little quotation, scare quotes beside it. But you were horrified to learn you'd been deceived. Okay, like that feels like a good start. So what would a greedy fighter looks like? I think for the fighter, the dragon doesn't inspire greed exactly. Let's say when you're the dragon, you feel extra protective of everyone. You want to nurture the other adventurers and take care of everyone, including the creatures that you are now learning to become more compassionate about. So the way I'm writing this LARP is basically I'm starting off by thinking about the characters, then I'll be thinking about the relationships between the characters. So I've got the 3 creatures that inspire emotions, which gives me kind of hooks. And then once I've got all the characters down, then I'm going to be, yeah, I'm going to then try and work out how exactly the structure of the story is and what flashbacks might make sense. Timmy, talking about keyboard, says, I have razor green key switches at home and Gateron Browns at work, but I kind of want to mod the Browns. Wow, that sounds incredibly fancy. That's much fancier than I have. Okay, so Black Sheep suggests a bard with Asperger's. I don't want to call out conditions by name. I don't want to say anyone has depression or anyone has kleptomania. I just want to talk about the symptoms, but I like where you're going. I definitely like where you're going with that. That's a good one. Yeah. Let's bring this up and possibly these characters should actually have names, but I'm not good at naming people, so I mean, it's possible that maybe the players who are playing them should get to name their own characters, because that's always a nice thing in RPGs, right? When you get to name your own characters, even if in a LARP, for the purpose of the story, it's like, okay, this is exactly how it's going to go. I think that it's really useful for being able to say, hey, I am Alex, or I am Bethesda. No, that's a company. You see why I'm saying I'm terrible with names. I am Broama the Bard. There we go. That's a kind of could be a fantastical name. I don't know. The Bard. How did you join the group? Maybe you joined the group after they visited one of your performances. The other adventurers seemed to react positively to your songs, and you help keep their spirits up. You struggle to talk when not singing. Almost everything you say is in a sing-song voice and in rhyme, or often delivered by quoting lines from songs. Bard playing on the streets like a busker, trying to get a few pennies for food. Oh, I like that idea. Yeah. I like that idea more because then it's like, yeah, they took you under their wing. Yeah, I like that. And then that develops a more maternal relationship with like the fighter taking care of the bard, right? Because the bard isn't doing some successful or yeah, one of your, let's say, performances on the street. You have a lute that can talk to animals, but it never talks to you, and you don't know what it's saying. To be fair, you also find human communication difficult. Yeah. Black Sheep says tie homelessness and begging into it. Possibly. I'm going to draw a question mark before that, and so I will kind of think about that later. But I do appreciate that input. So how would the bard interact with the dragon? What's a greedy bard like? When you're the dragon, you want to be the center of attention and never stop singing. Oh, I absolutely appreciate it. And don't worry, I don't feel compelled to write down everything, but I think that at this point, it's better for me to write down everything. And then what I'm thinking is I'll carry on working on this live for, maybe a few more minutes, and then I'll have a quick break. I'll say goodbye. I'll have a wander. Then I'll carry on working on it. I meant to finish this by the end of today, at least the first draft. That's what I'd promised the organizer of this LARP event. I'd said, I will get it to you by the end of the month. And I am determined to live up to my word. But yeah. When near the beholder, you struggle to speak or make any noises at all. When you're the big black dog, we've not talked about when you're the big black dog, what would a depressed bard be like? I mean, they're struggling to speak, they're sad about their isolation, you feel isolated and worthless. You worry that you don't have any real friends and everyone merely tolerates you. Yeah. That's the big black dog. Yes. You sing in whispers if you speak at all. You do not make eye contact with anyone else. Although I don't want to have this be... I don't want this to be a boring character. Like, anything that's saying don't speak, don't sing, don't do this, shutting players down, that's obviously slightly problematic. I mean, remember, like, this is the game. And so, but then you do have the dragon, who means that you are the center of attention, you never stop singing, and the fact that you're singing is probably a good thing. So if there's two characters that you are sort of struggling with, then maybe that's okay, as long as I make sure, as the therapist, that the bard moves around. I think that's the key thing. It's probably okay for the bard to be shut down by two characters, as long as as long as, I mean, I think that if there are 10 player characters and two of them are shutting you down, that feels okay. I'll think about it more later on. Okay, let's go back. So we've got the bard, we've got the fighter, we've got let's finish. When you're the dragon, you do that. When you're the beholder, I make myself laugh at this beholder pun. You what is... You are scared for your children, for your children, the other adventurers, and anyone you have made a promise to. You want to constantly check that they're okay. Yeah, that feels reasonable. As of, yeah, when you're the big black dog, you worry about the leadership role you've adopted. Are you doing a good job? Will you make everything worse? You worry that you're just not good enough. That feels like a decent start for the fighter. Okay, that's good. Let's... So which one of these should be a half orc? Because I think, yeah, maybe. And then let's actually look. What are the... I want to know what are the races in Dungeons and Dragons. D&D races. I'm sure there's D&D Beyond. There we go. So these are all the current races. So we've got the Dragonborn, the Dwarf, Elf, Gnome, Half-Elf, Halfling, Half-Orc, Human, and Tiefling. One of them is going to be a Half-Orc. The other two, I don't know, but we'll work that out later on. And let's actually go Dungeons and Therapy. Let's give it that name. Boom. Did I copy paste something? Nope, nothing. important. So let's the rogue. When you are near the dragon. Oh, black sheep. Sorry, you can't. You know what, black sheep? I'm going to see if I can make you a VIP. I might take that off at some point, but I am going to see if I can make you a VIP, and then I will. And then you'll be able to send links. 5 edition tools gives you a lot more info. Oh, don't worry, I don't need to base this exactly on 5th edition. I'll just kind of carry on. I've got more than enough information, and I think that whilst I could be, spending a full week doing the research, perfect and even amazing is the enemy of just getting something done. And sometimes I think that just getting the idea out there has some value in it. So hopefully, yeah, you get what I mean? When you're near the rogue, you are inspired to steal things of actual value, as well as things of no value at all, to see how much you can take. It's the only way you feel alive. I feel sad for these adventures. This is so sad. When near the beholder, start stammering. Your fingers are twitching and feel like everyone's eyes are on you. When near the big black dog, you like your compulsion to steal makes you a worthless person and you don't deserve to exist. Yeah, this game definitely needs a trigger warning. I might actually put up a trigger warning. I feel like maybe I should have already. Let's see. Depression, anxiety, bereavement. Yes. Okay, there we go. Trigger warnings for depression, anxiety, and bereavement. The big black dog seems to zap people's positivity. Oh, I thought this was something that everyone had heard of, like, stressful to be around. Does it gaslight people? No, I don't think that the big black dog is necessarily wanting to do this. So, big black dog, depression, let me actually maybe take off that screen for just a minute. So apparently, if you dream of a big black dog, yeah, can symbolize betrayal. I thought depression. There we go. The black dog of depression. And I'm actually going to look at BetterHelp, which they're talking about depression here. And they say black dog means depression, or it's most commonly used to describe a state of depression characterized by either poor behavior or the lack of will to do anything, including things you once loved. The metaphor can be useful for people living with depression and those with loved ones experiencing depression symptoms. The image of a large, intrusive black dog can more clearly identify the often difficult to see aspects of depression. And Winston Churchill was often quoted as referring to a black dog when he felt unmotivated, churlish, or unproductive. And yeah, it became a symbol. And yeah, that's really interesting. So there's emotion, sadness, stuff you just can't get over. It feels like an outside entity, wholly outside your control. And it needs both time and treatment to fade, just like a black dog will need. So yeah, that is where the big black dog stuff comes from. Exactly, it takes your spoons away. It's something that, but the big black dog isn't trying to do that. The big black dog, it's just, a really sad character. Yeah, it wants friends. So I'd like to try and mesh together the big black dog syndrome of things not being adopted and of depression, but and hello, Pushpendra. It is lovely to see. I hope that you're generally well. I'm actually going to finish up in a minute because, yeah, it is getting towards the end of the hour. I try to wrap up after about an hour. The dragon gives people spoons, but maybe too many. Oh, like you're talking about manic depression, bipolar, manic, yeah. Like giving them a bit of mania. I already had, and Pushpendra, you don't have to apologize for anything. It's lovely to see you. So yeah, the big black dog. You can't remember your parents. Oh, the big black dog is such a tragic tale. Oh, you can't remember your parents. You were left on a doorstep, but then abandoned repeatedly until you managed to gather the strength to survive on your own. Yeah. Oh. You have always been an outsider. And you want to make friends. You came to this dungeon for shelter, and though you admire the beholder, Minotaur, family, orcs, and yeah, I think we had minor monster free. I don't know what the minor monster free would be. And everyone else, they don't seem to want to spend time with you. Pushpendra says, I missed the start and the thinking about this, but I also only associate dogs with happy things. That's lovely to hear. I mean, Big Black Dog is definitely a thing of it. There's definitely a known thing of the black dog of depression. And Big Black Dog has to fight for every scrap it gets. Yeah, 100%. This poor Big Black Dog don't want to spend time with you. Why were you here? What were you doing when this attack happened? Maybe you were in the corner watching the dragon and making sure it was okay. When you noticed the adventurers burst in, you hid, as you've learned that you're just not strong enough to fight. When you're the dragon, so the dragon inspires greed. So let me so Pushpendra, basically this is a LARP. The entire point of this is that all the adventurers have gone into a dungeon. They have been told, hey, this dragon is evil. And then the dragon's like, wait a minute, I've got all this gold for good reason. And what are you talking about? Who told you that I'm evil? Who told? And then they found the mayor, and then it became apparent that the mayor was lying all along. And the dragon has paid for a group therapy session. And now, you know, you went into the adventurers went into this dungeon, like slaughtering minotaurs, and then they're poor children. But yeah, it's about subverting those Dungeons and Dragons tropes. Big Black Dog can't help itself looming over others due to its size, but gives people a feeling of unease. Yeah, exactly. So if you look at the top, the characters that I've got currently are the therapist, who is me, the mayor, who's the evil character who told everyone lies, the dragon, who has a lot of gold, needs it to sleep, the beholder just wants to be alone and tends to its bees, the big black dog really wants friends, and that's what the big black dog wants. The rogue wants to stop stealing stuff, but the rogue is just compelled to steal all these buttons and onions and copper coins, even though it's got so much wealth. The half-orc bard really wants to be able to communicate with people, but it just struggles to communicate when not singing. The fighter has adopted the maternal leadership role and feels a strong sense of obligation, but does all this emotional labor that no one ever praises the fighter for unless the fighter actually uses their fists. The Minotaur children are sad and feeling bereaved because the Minotaur's actually been killed by the adventurers. The orc is, one of the surviving orcs who's saying, "Why would you turn against me, brother? Bard, come on. We are distant relatives. Why would you just assume that I am so different from you?" And, maybe play up the race relationships a little bit. And in the minor monster 3, I don't know what the minor monster number 3 would be. If you've got, goblins, the obvious choice, but yeah, maybe I will D&D monsters, D&D Beyond. There we go. Let's have a quick skim. The Demogorgon. Oh wow, this is all alphabetical. Abyssal Chicken. Oh, you know what? That's the owlbear. Yeah, maybe the owlbear. That could be a good one. Oh wow, there's 109 pages. I'm not going to. That's a lot of pages to go through. Can I see more things per page? I don't want. Yeah, with 109 pages, that is way too much for me. Ape, aberration, beasts, dragons, celestial, fae, undead. Oh yeah, we could have zombies. Zombies are cool. Yeah, so owlbear or a zombie, that's what I'm thinking. And yeah, what do you think? What would be a good third? Let me. Owlbear? Zombie, okay. So what do these things produce in my mind? If I think about the owlbear, I think about who am I? Like kind of the sense of someone who's mixed race, someone who's like not sure who they are. Lots of love, Pushpendra. I hope you have a wonderful day. And Stream Elements reminds me to do a little more of a stretch. Okay. The zombie struggling to let go of the past. Trying to come to terms with change. I feel like that's a good kind of hook for a zombie. Yeah, I feel like the zombie could be good. Wow, Timmy, and you haven't been to bed yet, I assume. Like how is that working with your job? Yeah, Timmy, like the eternally awoken one. Zombie would be easier to dress up as, says Black Sheep. So some LARPs, it doesn't always mean that people have to dress up as the thing. And for this particular thing, for Timmy says work starts at 3 p.m. So I set the alarm for 2 p.m. So if you want 8 hours sleep, then 6. You need to be asleep by 6 in theory. So now you've got like, at least if you go to sleep by 8, you will get 6 hours of sleep, which isn't too bad, I guess. But yeah, regarding dressing up, this is going to be a LARP where there probably isn't going to be any dressing up. I could, in theory, get some masks or something as a prop to remind people. But yeah, I like the idea of a zombie. I'm going to delete the owlbear. Or I'll leave it there just for the moment. Timmy usually sleeps 5 or 6 hours, then sleeps all day Saturday. I mean, lots of love. I don't. Yeah. as long as you manage to make it work. But yeah, all the best with working out what works for you. Anyway, I'm going to go for a walk and ponder this zombie and the orc and the minotaur children and ponder their relationships with everyone, and then I will come back and do a bit more writing. And if you join me tomorrow, I'll probably let you know how I got on. But I will keep working on this. It'll take me a while, and after I've gone through the Larp process and everything, I'll probably put it up for free if anyone wants. If I come up with something that is good enough that I think other people would actually want to play it. So let me get rid of this banner for a moment, and let me do the question of the day. Question of the day. What's a little question before we go on our way? So let's say you were a zombie and you could remember everything and you had this kind of memory, but you were just struggling to connect to your living friends. But you had your sentience, like you still had your own personality and thoughts. What would you do? How would you come to terms with that? I think that if I were in that situation, I would probably I'd probably try to write a sort of code. Maybe I'd be scared of how they all judge me because my skin is falling off. I can't help it if I've got skin conditions. But yeah, I think that I would be very sad if I was undead, but then I had my current... Anyway, over to you. What are you up to? You can share, but only if you want to. What are you up to? As I mentioned, I am going to have a walk, ponder this, have something to eat, maybe get some milk, maybe eat some cereal. Yeah, cereal sounds good. I've got some cereal. I will eat it. Maybe I will... that's what I'm going to do. I will do a little bit of house chores. I'm going to hopefully, fingers crossed, do a new version of Seize the Power for tomorrow. And I'm going to get ready for my playtest tomorrow. That's basically what I'm up to. Just doing a few things. Timmy's jealous of my cereal. I get that. Cereal is pretty gosh darn good. You know what? I might even get full fat milk. There we go. If there's anything you want to share, I promise that you care, something you're looking forward to, something you need to do, something you want to get done, something you just think is fun, let me know. And recap and wrap up before we finish up. So to recap and wrap up, I talked about Board Game Geek. That was awesome. Like the shout out, I really appreciate that. That's like a fantastic picture of me, and let's see if I can get that even bigger. Putting me on the front page, I'm like, hey, that's amazing. I showed off some art from Chris that having some different backgrounds for a game about drawing creatures, complementing the drawings and complementing the complements. Then I introduced my Dungeons and Therapy game. We talked about the black dog just wanting friends and the characters, and wow, there's so many monsters, but maybe we'll go with a zombie, but I'm going to have a bit of a ponder for that. And we also briefly talked about why Larp is brilliant, and I guess about keyboards and cereal. So if other people say Black Sheep is up to housework and gaming, I hope that all goes well. Timmy puts cream on cereal. I mean, I think we already established that what you say is cream is maybe not we think of as cream, because, you know, you're in Nova Scotia and we've got different words for things from you. But if you want to check me out, then please check me out on all the links below. Stuffbybez.com, stuffbybez.bigcarter.com. Let me actually get rid of this thing. So youtube.com/stuffbybez. You can see all my show after the fact. If you want to join my Discord, go to stuffbybez.com/Discord. if you want to buy my stuff. If you're outside of the UK, I found out that it costs exactly the same, whether it's one game or 3 games that you want to buy from Poland. So go to stuffbybest.bitcartel.com and you can buy free copies of a game about whimsical creatures and trying to identify them after someone makes noises. If you want to find out about my future streams, go here. And for the next week, I am basically focusing on Now Play This. There's going to be a game jam. I will tell you about it. But my shows are going to be mainly solo and mainly short. The next guests I have on, I will be meeting Adam Best talking about charity and giant games on Tuesday, and Alan Paul about something on Wednesday. Other than that, I'm just doing lots of solo shows. Share, spread the word. Thank you very much. Extra special thanks to XXL Black Sheep. That was some extra super inspiration that you were giving me with all the characters helping me along the way. Thank you, Timmy and Yoda and Jess and Pushpendra and everyone who is there. And for now, there's basically only one thing left for me to say. And that one thing is, as always, lots of love and bye, 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 bye. This is a goodbye song. Bye, 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 bye. Thank you for watching along. Bye, 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 bye. This is the end of the show. Bye, 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 bye. And now it's time to go. Bye, 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 bye. This is a goodbye song. Bye, 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 bye. Thank you for watching along. Bye, 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 bye. This is the end of the show. Bye, 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 bye. And now it's time to go. Bye, bye, everyone. And have a lovely day. Bye, bye, Black Sheep. Bye, bye, Timmy. Bye, bye.